It's funny because it's actually my dream to like one day, not like be Kelly Clarkson level, but like I want to like interview people.
I was gonna say you're like a little too good. We're like this is maybe a gift you have.
But I love
like,
talking to people about like music and queer shit. Like fuck, I can't. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Pride series. I'm so excited to be doing this again for a second year in a row, and I have next to me the beautifully talented Riley Burke. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Anyway, so I met you very recently.
Mm-hmm.
We performed. You happily and nobly volunteered for my queer songwriter night. That was a fundraiser for Rockwood. May Stage 2 rest in peace. And I think what attracted me to your musicality was your voice and your overall presence on stage. And I was just like, this is a girl I want to like just hang out with and be like besties with. And I think that was,
Oh.
It's just the truth. And you have an album coming out.
I do.
On June 1st, and this probably will be released after the album gets released, so please go listen to it. It's called Reconfiguration, which I've always actually loved that name. I wanted that to be my band name. I wanted to be Jake.
Really?
Well, no, actually, I wanted it to be Jake and the Transfiguration, but then I realized it was like too religious of a term, and
sure.
I just loved like ethereal words like that.
Same.
And so I want, if you can, talk to me a little bit about the journey behind this album.
Well, it's a very long journey. It's 13 songs.
Okay. That's a pretty good size.
Yeah, it's like a double LP. In terms of like the vinyl situation, which killed me a little bit, but it was exciting,
you gotta do it.
You gotta go for it, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I wrote the first song in 2018. So this has kind of been coming together for a number of years. Yeah, and it's about everything from me coming into my queerness to other aspects of like things that I believed about myself and undoing, just like stories that are put onto you, stories that you bring onto yourself, whether that's in childhood or from social structures and all of that. And it kind of comes to this like reckoning moment, which has to do with my queerness and standing in my power, both as a queer person, as just like a person in the world with a voice and an agency, and like dealing with emotions that wrap onto bodies from repression and not like wanting to confront negative emotions like anger and all of that, and like embracing all of this in the human experience and not seeing it as brokenness but like a nuanced way of living. So that's like it's very lighthearted, that's
No, I mean honestly I feel, but that's the music that we all like, we dig with the most.
Absolutely.
Are the songs and the albums that really like tear your heart apart and then put it back together again,
I mean, that's what I grew up on, Springsteen and
Same.
Springsteen,
yeah. It's actually funny, I took a picture of, it was like this, I guess I raised money for Pride again, but I did a photo shoot and you saw my tie-dye jeans. And I tried redoing the Bruce Springsteen Born in the USA shot with the tie-dye jeans, but it was with a mask in my pocket because it was still COVID, which was like so not correct. Like I think the universe, that photo will forever just stay with me. I don't think that photo is ever being released. But anyway, so Saint Anthony, the song that you first released, was the leading single.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit behind why how Saint Anthony came to be, and like why was that the first single?
Yeah, that was one of the last songs to come out of me. So at this point, it was like a year ago. It's the second to last song that I actually ended up writing, and it just is the first because it just felt like just belonged on there. Like it's like kind of like we're starting a media race, but it's also like the end of the journey of like when we get to this point of like choosing to be ourselves and like reckoning with these stories and kind of being like, wait a second, I have agency to like see it and not like I get to see it, let it be, but still be myself in the world. And that song, in particular production wise, was really, really, really fun. We got to use this like big concert hall at NYU, and we were all in the same room. It was just me singing and playing piano at the same time, and there was like an acoustic guitarist and a drummer, and it was really important to me for us to like catch flow kind of in that moment, and it all just like coalesced, and it's just it was like a weirdly magical, even when we like made the music videos, the same kind of vibe. Beautifully talented dancer Salma and director Zach, like they just this song just feels like it kind of belongs to something else that we're just all like vessels for. So I was like, of course this should be the opening track.
You always know. You know when you write, when you finish
exactly.
the album, and I did the same thing when I wrote Broken Stars, was that, like, when Hemingway came to me, I was just like, this is it. Yeah, and it was like, it always comes naturally whenever, like, the order of how you want to release, how you want to drip, I guess the drops that you want to bring to it. So you said that this album has a part of your queer story, and if you, whatever you are free to share and would like to share about your queer story, like how was coming into your queerness for you? Yeah,
I feel like it took a hot second. Okay. But like we retraced our, back to our past, and I'm like, oh, like there were moments, like I've always known that I was queer, like, and I've had some like trauma around that growing up Catholic, not directly from my family. I came from a very progressive, open family, at least like my parents and my sister. But like, having a coach in 8th grade sit us down and be like, if you're gay, you're gonna be kicked off the team. And then like going into our hotel room and me, like, I was playing travel basketball at the time, me like breaking out into a rash and like not really understanding why that moment was happening. But looking back being like, oh, like I was like protecting, something was repulsing in my body being like, this, I don't know. Yeah, and then I just like lost my way and started just not being my queer self. And then just slowly coming into it, and I think the first moments were in college for me of like realizing that. But yeah, I would say that I'm a bit of a late bloomer. Like
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
I was definitely the same way. I felt as if I had just. It was almost like you were like you go into a dark room, and then you are just like you find the light switch at some point, and you're just like, oh, this is how everything was,
Yes, like it all makes sense now. Why this moment didn't feel great with this person. It had nothing to do with that person. It was just because I shouldn't have been with the guy.
I mean, I felt like I was just like asexual for like the most of like my end of teens into my early 20s, and then eventually I was just like, am I? And then I was like, oh yeah, that does it. Yeah, that's right.
Interesting.
That's. So I feel like I relate to that in a sense. I did not have a Catholic lifestyle as a Jewish guy, but having liberal parents, I feel like is definitely a blessing at some because they can see the fact that like we're not supposed to be cookie cutters. We're not supposed to be fitting a certain mold, and and love is everywhere.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know if I feel like this is relevant to share when it's like coming up, but when I figured out the queer stuff in like my 20s, I then had like imposter syndrome about like I had the moment of like, oh, this is my truth, and then I was like, wait a second, like I think I'm like there was like a hot second, maybe a year or so, where like I would like walk into the world like the way I dressed, like because I'm like gender fluid and relate pretty like closely to the non-binary and trans experience, even though I identify as a woman, and like it was kind of like me stepping into that, or like it took a hot second to like even like choosing the true queer path was still like that societal garbage in you is just like you're fighting your truth and your body is being weirdly having withdrawal. Like it was just that also was a weird time, and now I'm on the other side of it, but like I don't know if you had that experience.
It's funny because you mentioned that, because I always identified as a man, and I never was going to go beyond the pronouns of he, him. But I do know a lot of friends. I do know a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends that are he, they, or either they, them.
Sure.
And I felt like, and it was hard to find the connection with my story and their story because they shared something a little bit similar to you. Like I never had that, I guess, that body. It was more mental than it was like a body experience, I would say.
Got it.
Yeah. So going into, if you don't mind, your non-binary story. Your pronouns are?
I go with she, her.
She, her.
And I don't identify as non-binary.
Okay.
But I've always felt super gender fluid. Like I've always worn both sets of clothes. And even as a kid, like we joke about it in my family, but I would run around without a shirt. I was like way too old to be doing this. And I was a huge athlete, which actually, like looking back, I'm like that, like playing, and I still play basketball now, but
as you should.
That has been like something where I'm like, oh, there's a reason that I've always felt really comfortable in these spaces where like something about the physicality or the masculinity of like, and then when I quit, like you know, so that's been like a thing of like, it's like a constant thing of like reckoning with.
I mean, I was putting on dresses as a kid. I went into my sister's closet and I took out her dresses and I put them on. So I mean, I think, and I feel like the way that I present myself, I feel like I've now been starting to experiment more with like how the clothing, I wouldn't say super feminine, but definitely like away from masculine. Yeah. At times. Because like, I feel like everyone should just be allowed to dress how they feel and how they want to represent themselves on Earth.
Agree, yeah.
You know, and I think as long as you're doing yourself, when you are portraying yourself in the moment, then I feel like nothing else really should matter.
I agree, and I feel like that's the goal, right? Is that for all of us to like get to a place where it's like queer people, that's super important to feel safe in the world, but also the end goal is for all of this stuff around gender and sexuality to be gone, so that this just fluid way of living for everyone. Because like, what even is a body? Like, well, it's gender is gender. You know, it's like a fascinating thing. These parameters that really are not serving anyone. They're like hurting one population the most, but like ultimately the goal is to obliterate the whole.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I feel like when it comes to the fact that there are, most of the right-wing people and, you know, call us like the woke left or something.
I'm part of the movement. According to.
Yeah, you know, next thing you know, we're going to want to vote. But like, the fact is that they're always like, there's only two genders, like you're biological. Like, we know that. I don't think they need to remind us like that kind of, like, they don't need to remind trans and non-binary, gender fluid people like how they biologically are. They know.
Yes.
They're well aware of this, you know. And that's why, you know, we have the privacy of consulting our doctors and whatever people wish to do.
Yes.
So, this is the 55th year of the Pride March, and what does Pride, besides this lovely progressive flag that we have behind us, mean to you specifically?
What does that mean to me? This is like a real-time answer.
No pressure.
I think that like the older I've gotten, or like the more comfortable I've been in like existing in queer, I think there was like a part of me that was like always hesitant to embrace that I'm queer and stuff, because some effed up notion that I shouldn't leverage some like crazy stuff that people throw at you that you like embody. So now I'm like out of that, and I'm like, okay, no, this is like part of who I am. Like, it's important, and like me being myself, who knows what kind of permission I'm giving to said person on the street who was in the position that I was in 10 years ago, who looked up to queer people who were older than me, being like, there's something about that person, and I'm not grasping it yet, but like I feel drawn to them, or there's something in me that's like that person is giving me permission to live before I'm ready to give myself it. But yeah, so like Pride for me at this point is just kind of like just getting to exist in this body and feel free to like sometimes be masculine and sometimes be feminine and be fluid and like date people that I want to date and feel love and just have this like also though this nuanced existence that like I don't want to just be someone who identifies with my queer identity. I want to get to be this multifaceted person who has this part of my identity, and it's important, and I want to exist in the world in my truth and relate to people on that level. But yeah, to me it just means getting to be a full-fledged human. Like, I don't know. What does it mean for you?
I mean, God, don't turn the table. This is my interview. No, I'm just kidding. I honestly, that resonated with me hard, and I felt like, actually, it's funny, I was watching a Fletcher interview, and she had said that there was never any queer person that when she was growing up could say like, oh my God, she's just like me. So she was gonna do it herself, you know?
Yeah.
And I guess for Pride for me, that's such a hard one. I feel, because I have so many different answers, and I mean, I'm probably gonna answer this differently every single time I do this, but you know, I feel like we're all deserving of love, and I think Pride is a celebration of who you are, not just in the past and not just in the future, but also in the present, and especially in the present, because we don't know what the future holds, because we could possibly be living in a world where we like turn back the clock, and we could possibly be living in a world where the clock gets turned even more forward. So there's never a guarantee of what could happen, and in the words of one of my favorite songs, actually, it's called "Tomorrow May Never Come," for all we know. So, I mean, you might as well just like enjoy yourself now.
Right.
So this year on the Pride series, I'm doing covers of songs that that resonate our queerness, and you chose "Loving Her" by Katie Pruitt.
Yes.
And I want you to discuss with me like how that song resonates with you. It's a very like punch song.
Yes, like it comes. I think the first thing is like comes up with the line.
She belts her face off.
Loving
in that
her
song.
is a sin. If loving her is a sin, I don't want to go to heaven. Which I'm like, bam, Katie Pruitt has entered the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like I think something about Katie in this song, but also in general with her art, is like, yeah, this belting. She's like just like this powerful queer artist living her life and being unafraid to take up space, like with her voice and with her words, and make like statements that are righteous and like amazing and strong. And yeah, this song is just, to me, it's like this queer little anthem of just that's what it is. And I found it, like, it's a couple years old. I think I found it in the time when I was just coming into my queerness. And it was kind of just this like beacon of hope and light.
That's
and
like always
power.
the best when the song, when like the heavens open and the song or the person or the role model just presents themselves, and you're just like, yes.
Yeah.
So.
And I love that she has this like compassion and like in terms of like how other people deal with queerness and they don't understand that there's this little nuance in it too.
And it's like very country too.
Yeah, it's just
which is like
a
genre that like I feel like now country has definitely like it's starting to catch up, but like there was a while country was just like straight.
Yeah.
And now I feel like country, and not that country should never not be straight. I think there's always going to be a place and time, but I think we also have to recognize that like queers also love country. So,
yeah.
You know, I'm a huge Chicks fan, so like I was very like already into the song when you told me that this was the song. So, all right, well, we are going to perform this song for you as a duet. So, stay tuned.
Cool.
It's always the easy part because now the hard part comes where we have to